One Piece Chapter 1030 is out, and this is definitely one that's going to get people talking. The cover story this week is Brook sidestepping a file of army ants, and this immediately reminds me of One Piece Strong World. If you haven't seen Strong World yet, I implore you to go see it because first of all, Robin looks like this, and second, it's a fantastic movie. But we have a scene where Brook is going up against an army of ants, and they're drawn the same way, they look exactly the same, so this scene, I think, pretty much comes directly from that movie as far as the art style. The chapter starts off with two characters we've been waiting to see for a while now, Drake and Apoo. Now they were fighting much earlier, but it looks like now they're trying to work out some kind of compromise, or at least Apoo is. I don't know if Drake is going to be buying into it yet. Apoo has the remaining members with him, and it looks like he's basically planning to do what the world government wants to do, which is wait out the big fight and then take out whoever's left. They want to know if whether it's the Alliance, whether it's the Beast Pirates, whoever wins the big fight, they want to show up, get rid of them, and pretty much claim victory. Admittedly, after seeing this section, I like Apoo a lot more, just because he seemed so out of place for this arc as far as, Queen was mistreating him, he was kind of the DJ, so he's like a side character. Kid came in and easily squashed him, and he's been tagging along with like different members of Supernovas that have been dealing damage and then leaving him behind for more important things. So it just seemed like people have been brushing him away, but this right here definitely gives him a bit more oomph. I like that he still has numbers under his control, and I also like the control he has in the scenario because if Drake doesn't necessarily agree, I don't see him leaving here unscathed. While I don't think it's smart to trust Apoo, he makes a good point that it's not really about trust here, that they don't really have any cards in this scenario, so there's no point in them fighting each other. Both of them are pretty much discarded by Queen, so they really don't have a spot in the Beast Pirates. They also aren't really allies of the Alliance, so there's no spot for them there either. Basically, them sitting it out and waiting until the end is the best possible scenario for them. Now we cut to Usopp and Nami going down the flight of stairs to the first floor, and we run into a familiar pair of legs. It's none other than Kinemon's lower half, pretty much running around like he was in Punk Hazard. It looks like his body was still under the influence of Law's power, as when Kaido thrust his sword into him, it just split him in half instead of actually killing him. It makes me want to go back and look at Law's power just to see if there's an instance where someone's been, bisected by his power, and they try to put themselves back together. Like, does Law have to do it? What are the rules that come with the Opi Opi no Mi that says that, as long as Law doesn't do it, you still have the influence of his power on you? But Kinemon comes with an urgent request, and it looks like that's to get help for Kiku. Now it seems like Usopp is going to be the one to head to Kiku, but I don't really know what Usopp can do in this scenario. Basically, he would go there and he would just need to move Kiku to Chopper because he doesn't really have any medical expertise, and Kiku is fairly injured. I'm wondering if we're engaging in this scenario to get Usopp and Nami separated so that they can have separate moments. Now I feel like Nami has already kind of had her moment with ulti. I feel like Usopp is still needing a moment, and this could be his time to shine. It's pretty important to note that Kinemon is still gravely injured. Even when Usopp catches his legs, he can tell that he's bleeding a lot, and we can see the upper half of his body is still pretty much injured as well. And the shocks keep coming because Kinemon hears Orochi's voice, which gives him a shock because he's like, okay, I thought we killed him earlier. And then he talks about how Orochi doesn't know that Kanjuro is dead, and then Kanjuro talks. So it's like everyone is still alive in this room that should have been dead, and they're all kind of surprising Kinemon right now. Orochi and Kanjuro have a bit of a banter about the fight in which we get another statement that kind of resounds the overall feelings of a lot of people in this arc, and that's they don't care who wins. They just want to get theirs and get out. Orochi gives a final order to Kanjuro, and Kanjuro draws up what appears to be a yokai flame. Basically, a spiritual flame that's going to move through the castle and pretty much ignite everything else that isn't already on fire, the main goal being the ammo depot. Now as Kanjuro draws up the Kazunbo and sets it loose on the castle, he mentions this is the finale, the suicide pact of the Kurozomi clan. The fact that he says the pact means that this is with someone else, and if he's saying Kurozumi clan, I honestly expect it to be with Orochi, so this kind of makes me think, did Orochi unintentionally set up his own death with this fire. This idea is aided by the fact that Orochi isn't really trying to get out of the castle right now. He's pretty much holed up in a room waiting for Fukurokujo inside the castle, which to me, I would expect him to try and leave the castle and wait outside, considering the entire place is 1, on fire, and 2, about to explode. It seems like being inside wouldn't be the best place. Even so, we have him leisurely sitting down, pretty much waiting for the next step. As the fire blazes on and they continue talking, we get glimpses of what's going on around the rest of Onigashima. We see that instead of trying to create big flame clouds like Kaido has, Momo is basically just spamming his little ones, hoping he can at least slow down the island. 2 other notable things that I saw were that we get a panel of Brook and Robin running, and then immediately after we get a panel of CP0 on the move. Now, I'm going to assume that they are on the move to grab Robin, and this seems like the best time. Everyone strong is busy, and with all the chaos of the fire, what they're probably going to do is slip in, grab Robin, and try and leave. The only person I think could have stopped it at this point is Sanji, and it seems like he's no longer running, but he's still fighting Queen, so I don't think they're going to be interacting here. I think this might just be a moment where we have to see something from Brook or Robin gets kidnapped. We also get a glimpse of the fight between Kaido and Luffy. Now we see that Kaido is in hybrid form, and we see that Luffy is stanced up, much like Gear 4th. He has his palm out and he has it covered in haki, but the rest of his body is not in Gear 4th. So I'm wondering, is this a possible new mode? Is it a possible new stance, technique, fighting style? What is Luffy doing here that has him stance up like this, but looking slightly different? We also have Yamato still making her move to the armory. Now, with the fire yokai moving to the armory, I don't know if she's going to have time to make it there, and even she doesn't know if time she's going to make it there, before it ends up going up in an explosion. My best guess is that she might be able to use her ice abilities to put out the yokai flames. There are obviously mythical qualities to her fruit and to the abilities that she can use, so I don't see it as impossible for her to interact with something that doesn't really exist or isn't exactly corporeal. On her way there, she sees Nikkaku Sovereignty send Kid flying through the upper floor. Now, Big Mom is still doing Big Mom things and dominating her fight, but we get some intel on how Kid and Law can use their powers. They basically have a discussion about if they can both awaken their abilities, which they both have the ability to do. Now, we talk a lot about Luffy having the ability to awaken his Gummo Gummo no Mi, and what that could entail for his fights, what that could entail for how he uses his fruit in the future, but we really haven't seen anything like that. So to see what appear to be his 2 rivals have their ability trained to that state makes me think that Luffy is going to get there really soon. Now I think Law's awakening is clearly the most impressive. Basically whatever he's got with this Kroom ability gives him the ability to pierce Big Mom, which generally shouldn't be a thing you can do. He's able to make a clean incision, and he even mentions that the cut itself doesn't do anything, but it's the effects that the cut has on the body that are the main strength. And he's even able to deal some internal damage to Big Mom. She starts bleeding after that. This seems like a more intensive version of Gamma Knife, because it's doing internal damage, but instead of striking the opponent with the Gamma, instead it uses his sword. Basically, I think this effect takes away Big Mom's durability. It takes away the iron balloon, which in sense makes more effect for Kid's awakening. Kid basically has the ability to assign magnetism to other things. So what he does is he assigns Big Mom magnetism, and he attracts all the metal in the room to her. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not as impressed with Kid's awakening because I feel like he should be able to do this normally. I feel like he can either send metal Big Mom's way, or he can put metal on Big Mom and attract things to that. So him being able to assign magnetism, while cool, it doesn't really strike me as a strong awakening. And even the move he uses after doesn't strike me as strong because he's basically just hitting Big Mom with metal, and that's his thing anyway. To put it all together, I don't think Kid's awakening does much damage unless Law used his first. Now, even though they were able to do damage to Big Mom, I don't think this takes her out of the fight, and as far as I know, this should drain both Kid and Law of their ability to fight. These were their ace in the hole abilities, and I'm pretty sure they didn't do enough to put Big Mom down permanently. The chapter ends with Big Mom shouting out, so I definitely do think that she has lost her durability, or at least her durability has changed since Law's move. And it's probably got a time limit on how long it'll last that way. So basically she's going to have a time where she is very vulnerable to basic attacks, where she doesn't have her Iron Balloon defense, and that's going to change up her fighting style a lot. Now she's still Big Mom, she's still going to be dunking on them, especially since they just used their ace in the hole abilities, but she's going to have more weakened stats now. A good chapter overall. I find myself somewhat uninterested by the Kinemon portion of it. I want to see where that goes, but also I do want to see more stakes involved in the Scabbards. I feel like we keep just narrowly avoiding any kind of major stakes with them, so I would definitely love to see, you know, more intensive stakes. I want to see something happen with Kiku, with Kinemon, and I definitely want to see Kanjuro kind of kick the bucket at this point. But please let me know how you guys felt in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. There will be a poll in the description as always, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.